Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hello and welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center right here in Arizona, where we help businesses and connect you with the right people. And I'm very excited to have Kate Seeker back in the studio with us today. If you are not aware of who this woman is, you've been living under a rock.
Oh my gosh. Now I'm blushing.
Well, it's true. Executive Director for Yes AZ. And it's been a long time since you and I have connected, like here in the studio. Last time we were upstairs in the old building.
Correct.
And I feel like you were one of my first year interviews, because when I was getting acquainted with the business community and entrepreneurs specifically and startup community, your name kept popping up.
Oh.
And so thank you for making time to come back and talk about this year's Startup Week.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm always so thankful for opportunities like this, and well done. You've really grown Phoenix Business Radio into an amazing experience.
Thank you.
So well done. It's
Thank
hard.
you.
It's hard to keep at things like that.
Whew, big time difficulties and great success along the way. So it'll be 6 years in June.
Wonderful.
And then Daryl, our producer, who obviously you got to meet because he's sitting across from you, he'll be celebrating his 2nd year anniversary with me on that same day, June 5th.
Well done, Daryl.
So exciting. So let's talk Yes AZ first. I want to talk about Startup Week and really, why is this such a passion project for you when you have so many other balls in the air as well?
Yeah. Where to start?
Wherever you want.
Okay. So we're celebrating the 9th year of Phoenix Startup Week. 9 years. So the reason why that's such a big deal is, well, I have a 9-year-old. So actually, 9 years is a long time, but this is a grassroots run organization, volunteers only.
Including you.
Including me. Yep. I'm a volunteer. I volunteer my time every year as, I call it my hobby. My family knows it as my hobby, and I give, it's so fulfilling to me to work on this event and have it come into play, the last week of April every year. All volunteers, you're coordinating and collaborating with people across the ecosystem. And it really feels like an honor to me to be able to see how our ecosystem has grown, how it's changing, how people are stepping up or stepping back. It's fascinating, and it's an honor to be like, well, how do we serve the community this year? Really, the goal of the event is to be a stage for our community. Everybody that comes up there to speak or to volunteer to make it happen are volunteers, and we say, what is the story of our community this year? And we play it out last week of April every year.
So for our listeners who, again, aren't familiar with you,
Yes.
Who is the community? Let's back it up a bit. Who is it that you're looking to lift up and elevate?
It's all entrepreneurs, period. Right. So I know that's a broad description. It's intentional to do that. So we don't affiliate with anybody other than the community. And so we listen, we get feedback often from new segments that are coming out or new initiatives, and we support everyone. So to take a step back even further, what happened 9 years ago? So the story that I've been told is there was a bunch of people in a cigar bar really late at night, and they said, we should do this thing, right? We should create, a stage and a support network to connect our community. And so the two things happened. First was Phoenix Startup Week was brought here initially by Techstars and sponsored by Chase for Business.
Okay.
And there was a partnership there for the first couple of years. In tandem, this thing called #YesPHX was started. And #YesPHX is a social media platform, really, where the community can come and connect and collaborate. And so I got involved. I've been involved all 9 years. And by the way, 9 years ago, I just moved here. So at the time, I was working at Weebly, and I opened up the Weebly office in Scottsdale.
Never knew any of this.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to hear all
And so
this.
the first year, we were we were like, we were a venue. They came and they did a day.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, what in the heck is happening? This is amazing. I'll never forget Russ Yelton of Design Pickle.
Russ,
Yeah.
my buddy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Design
at
Pickle.
the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Okay. So he came into the office, the big conference room in Weebly, and he started putting all these big jars of pickles like everywhere. And I was like, what is happening? Like, I've never experienced anything like this. So that was my first experience. And so the next year they asked me to keynote about people and recruiting and building teams. It's my day job. And I had so much fun. And then the next year they asked me to run programming. And then I ran programming for 3 years. Then Mike Jones and I co-led Phoenix Startup Week for 2 years. And then I've run it myself through the pandemic and now. And then that's when Yes AZ came in. I had to create a nonprofit to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you know, it's just you need a bank account,
Yep.
right, to keep the money and to pay the bills, right? So there is no all of the revenue that's created. First of all, the ticket sales every year, it's startup capital for the next year, and we really run pretty lean to zero to put the event on every year with sponsorship dollars.
I'm so excited about this background. I knew you were a rock star, but now I've got all the little pieces and certainly all the great connections that have been running alongside you for all these years. It's an impressive group of people.
We have a great community.
Yeah, we really do. And it's funny, you mentioned Mike Jones with Resound as well as Russ Yelton. I know, at least with Mike, when Mike was doing his show in the studio with us a couple of years ago, one of the things that they talked about a lot was what does Arizona want to be known for?
Yes.
Right. As it relates to business and our community, because we are so eclectic. We're kind of the wild, wild west and the new frontier. And we serve a lot of different verticals and industries. And I've seen in the 6 years that I've run the studio, because we really get to host so many different executive leaders and business owners, I think I have an idea of who we are as leaders. I'm curious about, do you feel that we're closer to knowing who we are as it relates to business and outward facing outside of Arizona?
I do. I
want to share my thought too, but I'm curious to see if they match.
Okay. And actually, when we sat, one of the fun parts of Startup Week is it's an event that is overarching, right? And so there's a lot of I feel a good responsibility when we put together the programming or the themes of the year, that they're authentic, because you can kind of hear them throughout the year, right, in newsletters and whatnot. And so this year I gave a crack at trying to figure out the verticals for our community.
Yeah.
And they end up being the track days for Startup Week this year. So I don't know if we were like through osmosis or whatever, but I very much think that we're ready to do that. I think there is some organization around certain verticals, and I'm excited to see what the future is for them. What's your thought?
Want to speak to that in just a second. Are you comfortable sharing what the verticals are for those track
we're going to
days?
get into it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So the word collaboration and connectedness comes to mind for me to have this overarching umbrella around who we are as a business community, as an ecosystem, right? Whether it's AZ Tech Council, Local First Arizona, Yes, PHX, all the private and public enterprise down to the little mom and pop shop and the micro business. Everybody wants to see everybody win.
Yes.
And everybody might be a tall order. However, I really believe that the majority of people who are living in the greater Phoenix area and even Arizona at large wants to see each other win and succeed. And we want to make those introductions. We want to help with the education. We want to benchmark and run alongside each other, not necessarily for fierce competition, although that's great when it's there, also just to run alongside each other. So for me, if there was a theme, it would be connectedness and collaboration.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The tagline, we're the most generous startup community. I think that is far and away true.
With the friendliest airport.
Right.
Really?
Right. I think that's very true. It's part of the experience of this ecosystem that I think leaves people wanting to participate more. I mean, could you have a 9-year grassroots organization of all volunteers in really any other ecosystem? I moved here from Silicon Valley. Prior to, I by way of Boston. Like it's not happening there, right? So people are happy. I have really and honestly, I can honestly say, Girl Scouts honor, that I have called and asked people to spend time or to invest in Startup Week, and I've never been told no.
Yep.
I've been told I can't make it, or I have a
Try me
constraint.
again next year.
That's fine, and there's always an open door. And I think year over year over year, people are committed to creating sustainability and value, and build on things that we do as a community as a whole. And I agree with you. They're cheering people on. That's important. It's really important. I think it'll be the key to our success.
And again, in 6 years, which is not as long as 9, I can't wait to be celebrating 9.
You'll do it. I'll come. I'll bring a cake.
Excellent. It's been really fascinating to see. I was a newcomer. I was from education, dabbled a little bit with Intel and some smaller consultant gigs before I opened Phoenix Business RadioX. So for me, it was really this fast trajectory into, okay, well, who are these people? and finding my niche and how can we serve the community? So it's been fun to see, gosh, scratching our heads. We don't know who we are. Here, if we're in this sector, this is how we refer to ourselves. And if we're over here, whether it's healthcare, medical, big pharma, tech, whatever it is, everybody had their own little thing. Well, as Arizona, now we get to say we are the friendliest and what was
most generous.
The most generous. Totally agree with that.
I would also say that we have another thing that kind of sets us apart and is notable to me is like our economic development groups play a really important part in the success of the community, and they collaborate really well.
Extremely well.
It just shocks me.
Yep.
Right.
Arizona Commerce Authority.
GPEC.
Yep.
City of Tempe, City of Mesa, City of Gilbert, City. Oh, yes, exactly. Local First, BBB. Like you can, they're not, of course, a economic development group.
However,
but they all play.
They do
in a really important role and very, very, very supportive. They hold the bar high, and I try to stand up there with them and be equally supportive to every initiative.
I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't mention another stakeholder group, and that would be higher education, GCU,
Sure,
all three universities,
Sure, yes,
all of our specific schools around tech. We are very fortunate again, and not everybody knows everybody, but if you don't know somebody, you're looking to make that introduction.
Yes,
so that you do get to know each other.
In fact, this year's Startup Week is at ASU.
Yes, really,
Sun Devil Stadium.
What?
Isn't that fun?
The whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, we talked about it when you're leaning up to it. And you're like, I've got some ideas.
Yeah.
So at ASU.
At
3 days?
A week.
Okay,
5
so
days.
Are you ready to talk
Let's
about
go.
that?
Let's go.
Hot
I'm ready.
dog.
Okay, so we're at Sun Devil Stadium
Wow.
in downtown Tempe, right? So it's wildly cool, right?
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, so they actually have some event space that overlooks the field, right? So
yes,
we'll have the names, they have changed the names a few times and I don't want to mess them up, but there is a large room that we'll have our keynotes in. Directly above it, I remember this one's called the Lagunitas, room. Oh, Santan Ford building. I don't know. Anyway, so all the sponsors will be in Lagunitas, and we'll have food and drinks and all of that. We have our keynote space, and then we're having our happy hours in the lounges on the other side. So it's a one-stop shop. They're opening up the concession stands for us for lunch, which on the Coca-Cola Sun Deck. And so they've been wonderful partners, and it's so fun.
I'm beaming for you.
Yeah.
This is huge.
It's fun.
For our listeners and viewers who have not been part of Startup Week previously, just for comparison, you kind of bounce around to different cities to try to mix it up a little bit, different venues. What else would be different in the past?
I would say this is probably the most professional venue that we've been in. So for context, we've taken abandoned warehouses and schools and then tried to make them suitable spaces for
Keeping
for
it
an
lean.
event. Exactly. And which created just if you're considering doing this, hire a plumber because the bathrooms are going to
Make
explode
sure the
on you.
lights are
Yes,
on.
exactly. Yeah. And so there's power constraints, and then you have to create a stage, and it is
Wow.
it creates a lot of opportunity for creativeness. And I would say, thankfully, I'm also an entrepreneur because I don't have a perfection button. I'm very much satisfied with the fact that that there's progress and that it's being done, and empowering people to do it, right, and to see their vision through. And so, so it's always kind of scrappy and fun and a little reckless and on, like put together with gum and tape and
Yeah.
but it happens every year, no matter what. I don't even really stress about it anymore. I'm just like,
It's going to come together.
it'll come together. It always does. And if we have to pivot, we will.
So good. So I love this. You're at ASU Stadium.
Mhm.
You've got everything there.
Mhm.
I was going to jokingly say the locker room. Can people like rent the locker room to stay the night for?
Well, we have free parking, so you don't have to. I mean, I guess you could sleep in your car,
It
but
could be like Country Thunder or whatever that thing's called. People can come in there. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
In their RVs and camp all week.
I will say bring walking shoes because
for sure.
you don't need heels for this. This is comfy shoes for
yes.
sure.
I love it.
It's you'll get a workout. So the tracks. Let's talk about that. All right. So Monday, Sustainability Day. Check out this lineup. I'm so proud of it. The first one opening us up is David Thomas. So he's the executive director of Milo Space Science Institute.
Okay. Wow.
So he's going to talk to us about planetary stewardship. Just, Monday at 10.
Planetary stewardship.
Let's just talk about that, right? Then we have Governor Hobbs coming. She's going to make some comments about Phoenix Startup Week and her support of entrepreneurs. And then we have Mark Hanchett and Annie Pratt of Atlas Motor Vehicles. We just, I'm the VP of people there. I think they're amazing. And we just did a rebrand yesterday from Atlas Motor Vehicles, and now the company is NXU, pronounced new.
Yep.
So they're going to talk through that. And they also last year listed public on the NASDAQ with a crowdfunding offering of $37 million, which was also a wild day. And so they're going to talk about how to crowdfund and get your company public and then rebrand. And they did all of that in, gosh, was it 7 or 8 months?
So incredible. So for our listeners and viewers, if you are not familiar with them, go back and listen to our show when I interviewed them, thanks to your introduction. And then Daryl, for show notes, if you could put in there, ask Angie to remind us to add the new name and the new branding to that episode so that we can keep up and people can keep coming back to listening to that, because I would hate to miss that. And so somebody from your team can send us the new logo.
Yes,
we'll make sure we have the connection. Very good.
Yeah. And that's going to be super fun. They're great.
Oh, they're truly incredible people to listen to. And I understand why you're part of the team, because the dynamics amongst all of you is phenomenal.
Yeah. It's an honor. I'll just say that I think, people ask me all the time why I do everything I do. And I joined their team because I wasn't looking for a job at the time. At the time, I was thinking about just running Yes AZ and doing community building work. I had lost my father. It was COVID. I was sad. And then when I met them, they're so unique and the company is so incredible. And I thought, if I was going to join a company, would I not join a company that's going to support the very community that I'm trying to help and to contribute to? And it hasn't been not one day have I regretted it. In fact, it's taught me a lot about myself, and I feel better. A year and a half later, I feel like a better person for that decision and the contribution and experience with working with the team.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that you lost your father in the midst of all that.
Right at the beginning.
So many people did for a variety of different reasons, of course. Death hits us when it hits us. And it's been, I'm sure, excruciating, as I've witnessed several friends and business friends and acquaintances go through something similar.
Yeah, losing a parent's wild. It changes you. You don't get over it. It's just sort of like it's like I'm thinking in my head like a shell, a skin, like, you just come out of it different.
Yep.
In my experience, I feel stronger, but I was untethered for a while. But
you're preaching to the choir,
Yeah.
right? I lost a spouse in a very different way,
Yeah.
and I know we connected a handful of
Mhm.
times in that same time span.
hmm
And a shell of ourselves. That's a
Mhm.
really fantastic way to describe what that feels like. And like you, coming out of it better. Well, I
Mhm.
always people say that, and I always say, well, what choice did I have?
Yeah, for sure. I like myself a lot now. I don't know. I was like a very different person then, but I think I'm very proud
Good.
of myself.
Well,
and my
you're
life.
certainly wearing it and showing it. All right. So
Okay,
day
sorry.
one.
Yeah, okay. I only got halfway through day one.
Oh gosh,
Okay.
there's more.
Okay. Noon. Sam Bertram, founder of 1.1 Vertical Farming. Okay, this is cool. Warehouse, vertical farming.
Yes.
Okay, continuing on. Then we have Waymo.
Excellent.
Adam Lentz, head of sustainability and environment at Waymo, is coming to talk to us about what does it mean to have a sustainable business. Then we have Michelle de Blasi, who's going to talk to us about lessons learned from environmental companies. And then we have a fireside chat with our good friend Ryan Johnson, co-founder and CEO of Cul-de-sac.
Excellent. We were just talking
And
about cul-de-sac yesterday.
yeah, they're incredible. And then we're going to have a happy hour at their office in downtown Tempe. And we're
Day
going to walk
one.
over. That's day one.
Wow.
Got 4 more. Let's go. Okay.
Do it.
Okay. Day 2. All right. This is an example of what we do at Startup Week. So day 2 was supposed to be student pitch day. And we actually had a student volunteer, Mia Zimmerman, that was helping us coordinate it all. So what we learned after we launched it and sort of started to work on it was it's finals week.
Oh gosh.
And then also the week after is finals week. So we only had a very few amount of applicants. And so we pivoted. And so now we're calling it Take Off Tuesday. And the first half of the day is mentoring. And then the second half day is sort of thinking about how to be a better version of yourself, right? So we have several different mentors in the morning. And then in the afternoon after lunch, we have Exponential Leadership with Aaron Bear and Forbes Shannon. They have a book that's amazing. Then we have Startup Mindset, the difference between 90% chance of failure and 90% chance of success. Lee Benson, he's a best-selling author of this book, Executive to Win. And then we're rounding out the day with Tanis Judge, who's the co-founder of Co-Founders Hub and wrote a book on how to pick a co-founder. Tuesday. This is great, right?
And okay, earmark this as well.
Yes.
Maybe Daryl can take a note. I have a suggestion for a visitor, Madison, at some point. So we'll talk about that.
Great. Yes. And we have several more. So we have some mentorship opportunities listed on the website now.
Perfect.
We have several more people that we're just waiting for headshots and bios. And so we'll be adding to that over the course of the week.
So good.
Okay. Then Wednesday. So this is advanced tech, advanced manufacturing, IoT. Advanced tech is again a pillar of our community that we're seeing a lot of development in. I was invited to the Plug and Play launch last week. So fun, so amazing. And so we're starting the day at 10 o'clock with Frederick Bon. He's the director of supply chain at Plug and Play. It's going to be moderated by our good friend Mark Parator, who's the VP of Business Development at GPEC. We have then Upgrade to Better Money, Stephen Cole. He's the founder of Exit Capital. Then after lunch, Michael Gammon, founder and CEO of XAQ10. He's going to talk about the emerging tech and marketing. Then we have Arena and Igor from Listen Up. They're going to talk about the future of communication. They're also a sponsor of ours. And so you'll have an experience with our sponsors using Listen Up.
Shout out to our buddies.
They're really great.
Yes,
they're great.
Another great interview, by the way, to go listen to at Business RadioX.
They're cool.
Good.
And then we have a speaker panel, the startups of tomorrow. Where will the industries be and the verticals clash? And we have several different people there following that's the panel we close out Wednesday with.
Good. All right, 3 down, 2 to go.
We got 2 more. So then we have health tech and med tech. So we're starting with a fireside chat. What is med tech, health tech, and biotech? And then how does AI run into that, right? And then I'm just trying to speed it up a little bit.
Oh, no, you're
we
fine.
have entrepreneurial platforms and a successful launch from Dr. Rick Hall, who's the founder of Health Entrepreneurship Accelerator Lab at ASU. And then we have Jasmine Body, founder and CEO of Navi Nurses, which is a success story for our community. Followed by Christian Daniels, founder and CEO of Inspired Vibe, and Amber Halvasor, co-founder and CEO of Inspired Vibe, speaking to us about unlocking marketing success, branding, and social media. Then Zach Ferris is coming to talk to us about what he's been up to, the harsh truths about entrepreneurship, facing the odds, and myth of overnight success, which is always a story that is wonderful to hear and be reminded of. Kathy Sachs is going to be moderating that session, and then we'll round out Thursday with a speaker panel about building your advisor strategically and funding your business. And then Friday, good old SaaS Day. This is something that has been through Startup Week. We do it every year. Greg Head used to help us with it. And then he's just such a success and a supporter of our community. I got the gauntlet. I don't know if I've done as good of a job as him, but we have Chris Davey, who's the vice president of Decisive Intelligence Product Group at Early Warning. So that would be a fireside chat. And then we have Adam Lohr, who's Jampad. And this guy is incredible. He's going to be a notable name in our community. Jampad. Yeah. So he is a young CEO creating this product that you should come to the chat. Yeah.
Just leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Listen. Heidi Jananga is going to come.
Yay, Heidi!
And then Sydney Pack is going to interview her about their work and SaaS, right?
Good.
We have after lunch, Jonathan Cottrell is going to come and talk to us about how the company culture matters in early times, good times, hard times, and the worst times. Of course, Jonathan Cottrell is a founder of Phoenix Startup Week and Yes PHX, and really, I would say, the energy behind all of it, and also a good friend and a good person and cheerer and supporter, and I couldn't say enough good things about him. Then we have Anthony Kanata, who's going to talk to us about how to build, and engage, and monetize an owned audience. And then we'll wrap up Startup Week with Darren Steele, who is going to talk about the overlooked power of your strategic narrative.
All right.
That's what we're doing.
Wow.
Yeah. It'll be a really good time.
It sounds amazing.
One of the blessings of Startup Week is I don't feel like I have a lot to do with this, right? I mean, like I sort of like create space for it, but it is so different every year because the people that are on the team are so different every year. And I'd like to shout out the team.
Please do.
Okay, good. So, so what happens is sometime around summer, we put out a call. We say, who wants to help? And usually people that have experienced Startup Week, because it's Christmas. It is so exciting. It's so fun. The energy is so good. Usually you get people that say, pick me, right? So then, we inevitably have a meeting and we say, it's going to be hard. It's long hours. It's stressful. It's going to require a lot. And they say, yeah, no, really pick me. And so this year we had close to 100 people that raised their hand and said they wanted to be on the core team. There is, for various reasons, life stuff, work commitments, whatever, a lot of overturn, like a lot of attrition to the team.
You've learned that over these years.
Yeah, I expect it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so when inevitably someone says, hey, I know I said I would be the lead for this project, but life is happening to me. My response is always, thank you so much for all you've done. If anything changes, let me know. You're welcome back, and And so we used to have it that there was a 2-year commitment, which I think through feedback this year I might start doing again next year, because it does take a full year to learn and
Yeah.
what to expect. And I get that a lot from people of like, now that I've done it 1 year, I know what to do next year, and I feel like I could be better.
Mhm.
So we had like 100 people, and now we have a core team of just over a dozen.
Wow.
And here they are.
Yeah,
Okay. So we
please.
have Eddie Harriman. He helps us with tickets, and he's a second year. And I think the world of him. All these people, by the way, have full-time jobs
Good.
during the day, right? And
No
they're volunteering.
compensation.
No compensation. They're doing this out of they're sharing their talents out of the generosity of their heart. Melissa Armez is helping us. I mean, she's basically our PM. She keeps me honest and accountable, and has also negotiated some really interesting partnerships for us. Harry Kernawan and Mark Underwood were on programming. Netta Haswanza, I'm sorry, Netta, I botched your last name. And then Sharina Remy ran marketing for us, and Ali Sachs has also helped. Corey Severns runs our ticketing. And so he's on the back end and developing all that. He also pitched in to do the website. So Corey and Serena redid the website this year. Those two are so freaking talented. I just am like, wow. Nai Wong, Arena, and Sam are on our ops team. And Sam is trying to put together this podcast that we may have live during the week.
Good.
Again, we're just sort of like, it may, we'll see.
Yeah.
And so there there's a lot of things to negotiate through and work through to throw a week-long event. And so they're all on it. And really, this is the success of this event year over year is a testament to the talented team that steps up and says, I can help with that. And showing up for months, weekends, nights. It's like I said, it's just an honor.
And here's the other neat thing about this, just as a witness to the great work that you and the leadership team do year after year after year, when something like this requires so much help, especially volunteer help, and it morphs and it changes and it's malleable. You know that it's bigger than you when you get to say the things that you're saying, and you get to say, this is not my doing.
No.
And so as someone from the outside looking in, I'm going to say, well, it's very humble of you. And yeah, it has everything to do with you. And I really do mean that. And at the same time, I also know from my own experiences as well that, you're doing good work in the world when it is much bigger than you. And then just people come. You have to do some of the asks and put some bumpers on things and some guidelines around things. And at the same time, it's magic.
Yes.
Yeah, you're part of magic.
Perfectly said. I really do just show up. In a lot of ways, I think I probably weigh them down more because I'm saying, oh, I intend on getting to that, and something happens with my 2-year-old, and I don't get to it. Because life happens, right?
Yeah.
But they're moving along without me in many of the projects, which is great. I feel proud. Like that is them feeling empowered.
Yep.
And it is. It's just, we know we're a week out now, so I'm just full of butterflies because, like, look at what they're doing. Look what they did already.
It's huge.
Right? I get to be a part of it. I just feel like the cool kid that got picked. And so.
Well, you are. And again, for our listeners and viewers who are maybe stepping into leadership or curious as to how all these people that you've listed, your team, as well as the speakers that you've all selected, leadership is living, breathing, and embodying those values and the things that you care most about, so that you do it frequently enough, often enough, and consistent enough that it feels like it's magic. And you're just part of it, right? Again, if anybody were to be, watching through a crystal ball or even a microscope or a telescope over your life for the last 9 years, it hasn't been without ebbs and flows, rocky points, as you've mentioned, but that commitment, that tenacity, that love, and that zest and the passion for community rings through in everything that you do. So if you're not going to brag on you, I'm gonna.
I think I just keep on showing up.
Yeah.
And I think that here's the deal. The community makes this happen.
Yeah.
I just remind them that it's an option.
Yeah.
And then I'm here for it
Yeah.
if they are. Our sponsors as well. Like, so we had, this is not a light lift.
Yeah.
And let me talk about them.
Please, that's important.
So GPEC and AZ Tech Council and APS, TriNet, Cul-de-sac, Plug and Play, Just Work, Show It, Kylegence, Perimeter 83. It's expensive to run the Sun Devil Stadium.
Mhm.
And then all of the other things that we have to consider that go into it. And again, the ongoing commitment. Many of these people have sponsored us all 9 years.
Wow.
And I will say that, having the funds there, and like the invoice that I send is a PDF, like from a Google Doc, like it's not pretty, and they believe in it. And it means a lot, right? So that I can, when the team has a problem and we need to overcome it, or they have an idea, I can say, we can afford it.
Yeah.
Right. Let's make it happen. And so in the bottom of my heart, I'm just so grateful for our sponsorship and for really the sponsorship of our team. And then we have 150 volunteers signed up. We had to shut down days because so many people wanted to come and volunteer to help make this event happen. Again, like, what? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then I just show up and say yes. Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah.
I love it. What have I not thought to ask? You've covered everything so beautifully, and I really appreciate, I know it felt a little awkward for a minute, running through each of the days, and yet it's important to give everybody proper shout out, and for listeners and viewers who are not familiar, or it's been a couple years since they've been there, to really hear and kind of bask in, oh my God, the amount of knowledge and experience that I would be sitting and listening to and engaging with, not only from your speakers, but the community as well, right? Can you speak to that a little bit? I think maybe that's the question. And then if you have some things that you want to share that I hadn't thought to ask, we'll go back to that.
Yeah, I
Talk
think
about the networking aspect and really maybe even encouragement. When you come to this week, how should we show up? What should we be ready for?
That's great. Yes. Every year we try to be a stage, right? So we do ask ourselves, like, ongoing, like, who are we not hearing from? Who's here? And let's just be honest. If you're a startup founder, you're busy. You're not looking for speaking obligation or commitments. But if you're asked, you'll probably say yes. Or if you're introduced in the right way. And so when we came to the table this year, what we were trying to highlight is the tracks or the themes for our community. Sustainability. Who in sustainability do we need to hear from? Who for advanced tech? Who for med tech bio? Who for SaaS? And that those verticals fell. And I asked people in the community, I was like, I'm thinking about these verticals. Would you agree with that? And they were like, yeah, that sounds about right. Now, I suspect there's probably one or two more that'll pop up, which is great. Maybe we'll have to have a longer event, like to highlight those. But the other beautiful thing, and when I'm asked to describe what's Startup Week, I sort of say it's a high school reunion for our community.
I love it.
So like every year you come and you say, okay, who do I need to know in this community? How do I get connected? And you're going to be in an event that's over the course of a year or a year. It's a week. It feels like a year. And you can pick the day and there'll be an audience there of people that are interested in connecting, right? And it's not hard to connect because everybody here is very generous. You'll have opportunity one-on-one. We don't really have, at least not that I've met, like CEOs or venture capitalists or whatever that are unapproachable. Like they're there to help you and for you to learn and grow. Then happy hours are also a good opportunity for that because, unwind, talk to people. There's a lot of cool stories. So the high school reunion component of this is we have now evidence, and every year we have this, of people that started coming to Startup Week with an idea. And they came, and then the next year they came, and then the next year we heard about them. They created a business, and then maybe they worked at it a little bit, and then they were a keynote, and then they sold, and then now they're creating a fund. And we have examples of that. Heidi Janenga, Zach Ferris, other executives, Darren Steele, he worked at Campus Logic, Kathy Sachs, formerly, Infusionsoft Keep, Sydney Peck, Source Water, Ali Sachs. Yeah, all of these
Yes.
people that have been working diligently in the ecosystem
Mhm.
to build and grow through action are coming back around now with, this is what I learned when I hit that next vertical or that next inflection point. And it's amazing.
Hmm.
It really is. Like, to be able to, again, just create a stage for them to share the vulnerability. We have a panel called Founder F-Ups, which is like our most well-attended sessions. And basically the question is, talk about your biggest F-up. And like,
Mhm.
what was your intention when you went into it? What did you learn and what would you do next time?
Hmm.
And the vulnerability and authenticity of our leaders that show up to that panel is inspiring and remarkable. That it's and I feel, I just feel proud.
Oh, you should feel
Mhm.
proud. We're grateful
Mhm.
for your
Yeah.
generous heart and your generous time, and for everybody that you've mentioned.
Mhm.
That was a short list of sponsors. Are there
Mhm.
lower tier sponsorships, or is that it?
That's it this year.
Okay.
Frankly, doing this event over COVID was hard.
Oh, no doubt.
Mercy. Like, I
And
don't know.
was it completely virtual one year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it would
first
have to
year.
have been.
Yep. The first year we did it out of the lunchroom at oh gosh, I'm forgetting the school. Sorry, I had a baby. I was pumping between sessions in a closet. Yeah, it was.
9-year-old and now 3-year-old?
She's 2.
She's 2.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
was pumping in between
And, by
breaks.
the way, a marriage in there too.
Yeah, I got married. Yep. And so it was just me. We have a fun picture, and it's like me, and I have like 2 laptops because it was all remote.
Yeah.
And then we have like our marketing guy over here, and then an ops guy over here in a room, and then we did that all week. And then you'll see like a bag of snacks and the pumping stuff on the ground. Like, it was wild, but I think so fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love when life is real,
This is totally, well, not completely off track, but
Yeah.
I feel like I have to share it since you mentioned it was a school. I used to be the assistant principal in Kyrene School District for Murata, which is in partnership with Intel. And at the time, I had my oldest son, who's now 28, and I was also pumping at the time at work. And I every year it comes up in a memory from staff members who will show it on Facebook. And there's outside of my office door, they created this little sign when they could hear the whoosh, whoosh, because the mailboxes were out there right outside of it. Someone would hang a cow sign.
Yeah, funny.
Oh my God. And so I die every time. And that's keeping it real, right? The humor, we know what she's up to. And again, that camaraderie, the joy, the laughter, the realness, the authenticity, all of that, what I think makes leaders so great. And I was thinking that as you talked about it, I mentioned connectedness as well as collaboration. We cannot connect and collaborate well if we're not willing to be vulnerable and real with each other. So again, shout out to everybody that you've mentioned in your lineup, not only this year, but in the previous years.
I think also there's a reality around running an event of all volunteers, and it's not always the most efficient, right? Because we're
oftentimes not.
And I would say that if there's a thing I feel most vulnerable about, it's that, right? Because I was brought up in a family where it's like, your integrity is that you do what you say you're going to do. And, and then of course you have these big wild dreams that you want to do, and then life happens. And I think it's a personal journey for me to be able to say, like, I know I was supposed to send you that invoice and I didn't get to it, or I meant to do the intro and I didn't get to it.
My whole life.
Yes. And like, it makes me feel bad.
Yes.
Right.
Same.
Because I don't want there to be a perception or a reality where I'm not coming through for anyone. And then I also have to be authentic, and I have to be real to the realities of my life. And I had this mentor one time, I think about this every day, that said, here's the deal, Kate. You have, these lofty goals for your career. And you have to remember, in life, you have 5 cups. Okay. You have a cup that fills work, and a cup that fills your family, and a cup that fills your spirituality, and a cup that fills friends, and there's like another cup of your relationship with yourself,
Mhm.
and you only have enough water for 4. So all your whole life, you're just going to be pouring water
Yep.
from one cup to another. And every time I start to feel shame around like, dang it, like I'm letting them down, right? I think 4 cups of water,
I can only do so much.
right? And I
Yeah.
can apologize and
Yes.
say, it wasn't my intention. I'm sorry.
Oh,
What can I do to make it better?
Yep.
and move forward with humbleness.
Yep.
And I think that's what helps me. So
I've been experiencing that similarly, especially the last 6 months as I'm feeling like I'm finally back after some very serious trauma.
mhm,
And I can no longer blame it on that, I feel
Mhm,
like, because
mhm.
I'm fully present again,
Mhm.
and yet I'm still effing up and I'm
Mhm.
still delayed on commitments.
Mhm.
And as soon as I gave myself grace
Mhm.
and patience, one, I've always been real about, hey, this is what's happening and I'm sorry.
Mhm.
But I'd say that to you, but then I'd go away and I'd feel like crap and
Mhm.
feel ashamed.
Mhm.
Once I cleared that personal shame, now I'm my trajectory and my ability to be higher functioning is starting to really ramp up again
Mhm. Mhm.
because it's just reality. That is a
Mhm.
beautiful story about the 4 cups,
Yep.
5 cups
It's
with
5
only
cups,
4.
4 water. Yep.
Right.
So it's just about pouring. And so
Yeah.
I'll stop myself in a day and say, what matters to me right now? Right? Like,
Yes.
and then because as long as you're empowering yourself to make the next decision,
Yep.
you're going to be apologizing to people.
Yep.
Reality. It's your kids, it's your husband, it's your friends, it's your business.
Yep. Somewhere
And
along
so,
the way.
yeah, and then you have to be accountable to yourself,
Yep.
right? Because if you're not finding joy in it and you're resentful and sort of being a martyr,
Yep.
check please,
Yes.
right? So to get back about COVID and Startup Week, so 1 year it was all remote. The next year we tried hybrid, and that was the hardest year. Because we were learning a lot about psychology with hybrid events, where we had to limit the amount of people that could be in person because of COVID restrictions. And then very close to the event, those restrictions were lifted, and then we couldn't really pivot. It was too late. So we had a decent amount of ticket sales, because remember, people look at the ticket sales on the team and say that I'm successful at this, right? They're working really hard because they want to produce an event that is seen and experienced, right?
Yep.
So when ticket sales are low, it's a bummer, right? So we had a decent amount of ticket sales, and then not a lot of people showed up because they had the remote option, and people that had bought in-person tickets didn't really show up. And I would say that was a dark week for me. I felt really defeated. That I was like, maybe I don't need to be doing this.
Yeah, maybe we're done.
Maybe we're done. And so this year, here's the thing though, like, I'm not going to quit when I'm down, right? I'll choose to not do it anymore, but I'll do it at a high point, right? So just because I'm down doesn't mean I stop. It means I'm going to try again. And if I'm down again, there's data. Like maybe, and we're at Sun Devil Stadium this year. So,
wow. And was that 21 that you did the hybrid?
Last year we did it.
Oh, it was last?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was going to put it back, obviously,
No,
21.
last year, no, this is the year that we were.
So, wow. So from, wow, I feel defeated. This sucks.
Yeah.
And you didn't say it, but I've let people down is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And COVID let us down.
COVID was wild.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. One I'm tired of having.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
To the very next year, being at Sun Devil Stadium.
It was just like, what if we do this? Wow. What if we do this?
So
and
good.
then next year's 10 years.
I know we're going to be talking about that.
Yeah. So my goal,
yeah.
and so if anybody wants to help me make this a reality, I'm open to it. I want to write Phoenix Startup Week on Sun Devil Stadium field.
Yeah.
I know how much it costs. So who wants to sponsor it, right?
Yeah.
And I want it to be, I'm pretty sure we'll do it at Sun Devil Stadium again, barring any hiccups next year or next week.
Yeah.
And I want to have the Megatrons, and I want to have Phoenix Startup Week, and I want it to go. I want to go big, and I think we can. I think we
Oh,
should.
for sure.
We
Yeah.
should. Our community is amazing. This is
Yes.
the largest growing community in the country, 5th largest city. We should have a startup week that's reflective of that.
Absolutely.
So I'm willing to make it happen if the community wants it.
I have no doubt that they will.
Mhm.
So, how do folks get tickets?
Okay.
And explain the options and the opportunities there.
Okay. So phxstartupweek.com is our website. You can go on there and see all the great work that Serena and Corey have done. So you can click tickets, and you'll see a week ticket, which I believe is $100.
What?
And then day tickets,
Okay, you
which
got to
are
pause there.
yeah.
$100.
Yep.
Only $100 commitment.
Mhm.
That's incredible.
Yeah, this is our startup capital for next year.
Yeah.
So we don't get the money till well after the event. So it's like startup capital. And so we're using ticket sales from last year to start this year.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
again, for the opportunity for a
Mhm.
full week with the lineup that you've described at the venue, that
free parking. Mhm.
I mean, that really easily
Yeah.
$3,000.
It is an incredible value.
Wouldn't
yeah,
you say?
It's an incredible value.
Several
Mhm.
$1,000s worth.
Yes. Yeah. The event used to be free, but we need to charge something for tickets.
Well, and
yeah.
there's this exchange.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right? That
Yeah.
we
It's a
have
commitment.
we have to have that commitment.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's $100 for the full week. You should probably just do that. But if you wanted just to go to a certain day, it's $28 a day, again,
Perfect.
including parking. So Monday, sustainability. Tuesday is mentorship, takeoff Tuesday. Wednesday is advanced tech. Thursday is medtech bio. Friday, SaaS. Happy hours are $5, right?
So you could come to just the happy
You
hours.
could come just to happy hours, and I'll buy you a drink.
Want to do that?
I'll buy a drink. It's cool. You should just come,
Yeah.
have a drink, and take a selfie, right? Because it's an amazing backdrop.
Yeah, very good.
And then for today, for the listeners, if you use code BOGO, buy one, get one free, bring a friend.
Okay. At which price point?
All of it.
Really?
Yep. So if you want to come for a week and you're just not sure, or you know a friend that you think could also buy one, get one free, right? If you want to come for a day, buy one, get one free. The more, the merrier. Again, this is a celebration of our community. We want to have all of the innovators and entrepreneurs together connecting. This is the whole goal. We connect and we build together. And then also follow us on social.
Yeah.
Hashtag YesPHX. There will be more. I had to create a nonprofit last year, so that was not a light lift.
Sure.
So we'll be launching YesAZ socials soon, probably over the summertime. And then just one point on that, another sort of anecdote about how beautiful our community was. So during COVID, everybody was afraid of the community failing, right? Like, what does this mean when all of this work that we've done collectively and then everybody shut down, right? Who is going to be impacted? And there was so many great examples of people stepping up and saying, I'm here to support, I'm here to help. So I contacted a bunch of people and said, we have to do something, and we have to remember or remind people that we're here. And so we started this thing called Startup Together AZ. And so and this initiative, which is April is for entrepreneurs. So our startup week used to be earlier in the fall, and we moved it to April because Local First has the Good Business Summit, 10 West with our friends down in Tucson, Startup Tucson. We had Flagstaff involved, Moonshot. And so we did this year over year where we just came together. My husband actually built the website for me for a Christmas present. And so it's startuptogetherAZ.com. We're going to sunset that and make it YesAZ now because
very good.
But that's why we do it in April. We do it the last week of April, and because it creates an amazing opportunity for Venture Madness and the Good Business Summit and all of this activity in April. Mm-hmm.
I really am in awe of you and everything that you've done.
Thank you.
Have always been admiring from a distance, but now I feel like I just have this front row seat. And I've had this image a couple of times. I feel like let's imagine like this is a photograph, but I'm a little girl, and I'm quite a bit older than you, but I'm a little girl, and I have my hands behind my back, and I'm just looking up, and there
Oh
you
my
are.
gosh.
And I'm like,
Wow.
wow. Yeah, really.
You're making me blush.
Well, true. I'm inspired. I'm honored that you would ask to come and have this conversation today. I hope that I will be in a position to really get involved in year 10.
Let's do it.
I would really like to do that.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, very good. Yes, it should be always yes. Yes. Yes, and an and. All right. So tickets can be found again at
Startupweek.com.
startupweek.com. And of course, there's a LinkedIn by the same name.
Yep.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
It all. Yep.
Yeah, PHX Startup Week.
Startupweek.com.
Mhm.
Yep. And if you use code BOGO, buy one, get one free, bring a friend.
Let's really make that happen.
Let's make it happen. You guys, my goal is to have, 200 or 300 people a day.
Okay.
And so I want the team to feel so good about what they've created. So
well, they should.
Yes.
Obviously. And clearly they already do.
Mhm.
I can sense that.
They're proud.
Tell me again, the actual dates.
April 24th through the 28th, next week.
Yeah.
Join us on Monday at Sun Devil Stadium, and then the party will go all week.
Yeah. You will be in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Kate, thank you.
Thank you.
So
much.
exciting. Yeah.
It is. I hope everybody comes and joins us at Phoenix Startup Week.
Excellent. You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center right here in Tempe, Arizona. Some media leans left, some lean right, and we lean entrepreneurs and startup. Yes, Phoenix. Thanks for listening.